Hey guys, it's Coach Allen, and I want to share with you my top 3 favorite jumping exercises for 2-foot jumpers. This is for those of you that prefer to jump and land off of 2 feet. I'm going to show you my 3 favorites. First is going to be, I'm going to start in an athletic position. I'm going to vertically jump as high as I can, but I'm going to land in a split squat position, or basically a lunge position. So we're worried just as much about the landing as we are about the jumping. But first and foremost, I want to vertically jump as high as I'm capable of. So I'm going to vertically jump and land in a split squat. And I want to make sure that once I land, I stabilize and freeze my entire body, just like I'm a statue. So from this position here, vertically jump, split squat, and hold. One more. Vertically jump, split squat, and hold. I know that one of the most common questions we get, how many sets, how many reps? So with something like this, we're going to work both sides evenly. So I just demonstrated with my left foot forward. I would do the same number of repetitions for the right foot forward. And I'm probably looking to do anywhere from 3 to 6 on each side, sometimes as high as 7 to 8. But what's most important with anything we do from a jumping standpoint is that the technique and the form is flawless. So if you start to give out from a muscular standpoint and your form starts to break down, then you need to get away with it and the set is over. But anywhere from 3 to 4 to 7 to 8 on each side is extremely important. Now, we can actually reverse this as well, and I can jump out from a split squat position, and I can vertically jump and land in an athletic stance. So we're just gonna do the exact same thing, we're just reversing it. So split squat position, vertically jump, and land. I'll give you one more. Vertically jump, and land. And I notice I didn't say anything about sets before. So if reps are gonna be in the 3 to 4 to 7 to 8 for each side, 1 to 2 sets of each is all that you're going to need. So that's our split squat series. Next one we'll do, I'm gonna actually grab this box, and instead of jumping onto the box, I'm going to do some depth jumps and lands off of the box. So from here, first one, we're just going to step off and land and hold in that squat position. If you're trying to figure out how is this helping my jumping, well, the muscles that you use to stabilize your body when you land are the same ones that you need to be explosive when you jump. So this is just kind of a way to help prime ourselves and get ready to build the foundation we need in order to jump. I'll give you one more, and then we'll add a wrinkle to it. Now, I want to be as elastic and as bouncy as I can. So as soon as I hit the ground, I'm going to go right to a vertical jump. So it's step off, hit the ground, vertically jump, and then land soft, quiet, and on balance. So from here, jump up, and then stick that landing. Land, up, and stick that landing. We'll give you one more. Step off, jump, and stick that landing. And we can get rid of the box. And our last one we're gonna do, we're gonna work on a vertical jump, but this one's really to work on your ability to land. So this is not a game-specific jump at all. We're gonna do a full 360 or a helicopter with our landing. So I'm gonna vertically jump, turn 360 degrees in the air, and land safe and quiet and on balance. So from here, gonna explode up and land. A little bit off center, explode up and land. So we're not worried as much about the vertical jump as our ability to control our body in space, as our ability to know our spatial awareness and have the proprioception to land on balance with everything that we do. As I've talked about in other videos, basketball requires multiple jumps, very repetitive in nature. So it's so important that every time you land, you are ready to move in another direction. And all that starts with landing soft, safe, quietly, and on balance. Hey guys, it's Coach Allen, and now I want to share with you my 3 favorite one-legged jumping exercises. So I'm going to take you through some plyometric drills for those of you that prefer to jump off of one leg. For the sake of the video, I'll only demonstrate everything off of one leg, but it's so important to have symmetry that you work both legs equally. Even if you jump 90% of the time that you do a one-footed jump, if you jump off of your left leg, I still want to make sure that you're training your right leg just as often and with the same intensity. And don't worry about it if one leg feels more natural or if one leg you can jump higher. Having an asymmetry in output is normal, but just because it's normal doesn't mean it's acceptable. Our goal with training is to try to get both legs as close to being the same as possible. The first one I'm gonna do, I'm gonna balance on my left foot, and this is just going to be a pogo jump. So I'm just jumping and landing off of my one leg, and I wanna make sure that when I'm landing, I'm letting the impact dissipate through my ankles, my knees, and my hips, almost like an accordion. I want to be very fluid with everything that I do, and when I'm being fluid, that'll make sure that I'm landing safely, I'm landing softly, I'm landing quietly, and I'm landing on balance. Sets and reps is always the question that we get the most. From a sets and reps standpoint, the quality of movement is way more important than the quantity of reps. So I want to make sure you're doing everything technically correct. But anywhere from 4 to 6 to maybe 8 to 10 on each leg will be more than sufficient. And the reason there's such a big range is because there's a big range of players that are watching this right now. If you're 10, 11, 12 years old and you're brand new to jump training and you haven't done a ton of performance training in general or built the requisite strength, then you're going to want to use a lower volume of training. If you have a higher training age and you've been doing this for a while, then you can certainly have a higher training volume. So I'm going to balance on one leg, and I'm simply going to explode up, and I'm coming down. And I'm trying to make sure that I've got good balance in between. I'm driving that knee up as high as I can, and I'm landing on balance with each leg. Of course, we would do the same thing going to the other side. So that is our one-legged pogo jump. For our next, my second favorite, we'll go back to our box here. And this time, I'm going to take off from one leg, but I'm going to land on 2 feet. We always want to be very, very careful about any exercise or drill that has us land on one foot. And landing on one foot on the top of an elevated surface is probably not the safest way to go about it. So I want to be very careful with that. So I'm going to balance on my left, I'm going to explode up, and I'm going to land on 2 feet. And then I can go ahead and step down in between. So we're eliminating impact, 1 foot, and land on 2. We'll give you a couple more reps. 1 foot. Explode, land on 2. Last one, explode up, land on 2. And once again, you can do anywhere from 3 to 4 to 7 to 8 reps for each side. Last one we're gonna do is a speed skater. We're gonna alternate sides, but we're still only going off of one leg at a time. So I wanna cover as much lateral distance as I can. It's important as basketball players that you understand that being explosive is so important, but there's more to being explosive than just jumping straight up and coming straight down. You need to be explosive laterally. You need to be explosive front to back, right to left. So now we're gonna do a speed skater where I'm balancing on the outside leg and I'm gonna explode to the other side. So we're going back and forth and I'm getting good stabilization and good control each side. You could do anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10 to 12, 2 to 3 sets of each. I'm a big believer that regardless of your preference of jumping off of 1 or jumping off 2, that you have a healthy mixture of both. So even though these are my 3 favorite one-legged jumping exercises, it's also important that you folks train doing 2-foot jumps and 2-foot lands, even if you have a preference. And no matter what type of jumping and landing you're doing, you have to land safe, soft, quiet, and on balance. Hey guys, it's Coach Allen, and I want to share with you my 3 favorite strength exercises for 2-foot jumpers. Folks ask all the time, what's the best way to improve their vertical jump? Well, the short answer to that is to improve your strength, because if you can improve your strength and you can apply that strength with some speed, then you actually have power, you have force. So strength is like putting a bigger engine in your car. So the very first thing you want to do if you want to improve your ability to jump and be explosive is you strengthen your muscles. And in this case, primarily the muscles of the legs, hips, and core. The very first one I'm going to do is just a body weight exercise. I'm going to do 1 body weight, 1 exercise with a dumbbell, and 1 exercise with a barbell so you get some great variety. I'm going to lay down on my back and we're going to do a hip raise. And the hip raise is going to strengthen my backside and my hamstrings, which are so important for jumping. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and lay down on my back. and I'm going to raise my hips up as high as I can off the ground, and I'm going to tighten my butt, tighten my glutes. Now from here, we've got a few different things that we can do. I can simply hold this position, this static position, for anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, whatever is most challenging. That's the first version. Second version, if I want to level up, is I can drop my hips to the ground and raise my hips to the sky. So we can actually start doing reps at this point. And I know sets and reps is always a question that we get. From a sets and reps standpoint, when we're doing body weight, you usually want to do as many quality reps as you can do without sacrificing your form. So it's so important that you do things correctly. Some of you may only be able to do 10 to 12 of these. Some of you may do 15 to 20. The highest progression when we're going to level up is I'm going to drive my hips to the sky, and I'm going to keep one leg completely stationary, and I'm going to straighten the other leg and get a good pause and put it right back down, straighten and pause, straighten, good pause. Notice that I'm keeping perfect posture. My hips are elevated, my head's flat. I'm not just winging my leg up. I want to make sure that everything is very distinct and very precise with every single movement. And that is a great way to strengthen the posterior side of your body, which is your hamstrings and your butt. The next one we'll move to, we'll actually use a dumbbell. And I'm going to do what's called a goblet squat, which would be a way to work a front squat. I've never been a huge believer in doing back squats and loading a barbell on top of your spine. I would prefer to hold the weight in the front of your body. And it could be a barbell, could be a kettlebell, could be a dumbbell. So I'm going to pick up a dumbbell here, and I'm going to start in a slightly wider than hip width stance, athletic stance, and I'm going to hold in a goblet style. So I'm going to keep the dumbbell close against my chest. I'm going to keep my head up, my back flat, and I'm just going to drop my butt to the ground. I'm pushing through my heels, and notice that I'm keeping everything elevated. I'm not bending over. I'm dropping my hips back behind me as if I was getting ready to sit down. And you'll really feel this in your quads and hips. Also tremendous for the low back. You could also, if you prefer, you could hold the dumbbell one hand at a time and do almost a one-legged deadlift. Very similar from a mechanical standpoint, just working your body a little bit differently. We'd make sure, obviously, we get both sides. You can vary your foot position, vary the width of your feet. So we worked the first exercise was really to strengthen the posterior side, the glutes and the hamstrings. This one was really good for the quads and the core and the low back. Now we're gonna get one more for the posterior side, and that's gonna be what's called a stiff leg deadlift. This is tremendous for the hamstrings and the low back. And we'll use our barbell. I'll go ahead and use an unloaded barbell at this time. I'm gonna have a little bit of a bend in my knee. My legs are not locked straight, but I'm also not gonna bend them any further. And I'm going to hip hinge. I'm gonna hinge at the waist, come down until I feel good tension. Notice my back stays flat, and then I come straight back up. So you're gonna hip hinge and drive it straight back up. You'll feel this give you a really, really good stretch in the hamstrings, and drive straight back up. Now, the reason that I chose two exercises that focus on the posterior side is because the game of basketball is running and jumping by nature. And when you're running and jumping, it tends to put a lot more stress on your quads and the front side. So in order to balance that out from a training standpoint, I really want you to strength train the back side of your body, the posterior side. So while we did get a great goblet squat, which was great for your thighs, I want to make sure we do something for the hamstrings and butt. These three exercises, once again, are going to help put a bigger engine in your car. And when you take the newfound strength that you'll have from doing these and you apply them with speed, doing your plyometric and jumping exercises, that's how you build the most explosive player possible. Hey guys, it's Coach Allen, and I want to show you my 3 favorite one-legged strength exercises. In order to improve your jumping, either off of 1 foot or off of 2, it's imperative that you get stronger, that you build strength in the muscles of the legs, the hips, and the core. By strengthening those muscles and then being able to apply them with speed, that's how you create power, that's how you create explosiveness. So what we're trying to do with strength training is we're trying to take and put a bigger engine in your car. Now I'm gonna do one with just body weight, I'm gonna do one that uses a dumbbell, and one that uses a barbell. just to have variety. But please know that the modality of which you use is not what's most important. And these 3 exercises I love because they round out a very well-balanced strength program. The very first one we're going to do, and I can actually hold the dumbbell, I'm going to do a reverse lunge. So I'm going to step with my left, and I'm going to step back with my right, and I'm just going to counterbalance it by holding this dumbbell in my right hand. So I'm simply stepping back and driving straight forward. Stepping back and driving straight forward. We can change this up in a variety of different ways. For one, we can actually add a front and a back portion to the movement. So I can step back, and then I can step forward. I can step back, and I can step forward. We can also switch it up by holding the dumbbell with the other hand or holding the dumbbell in a variety of different positions. But the key is making sure that we're getting a lunge movement. The lunge, by the way, is very specific to the game of basketball. If you picture me in a triple threat position with the ball, and right before I'm getting ready to go and explode and put the ball on the floor, I'm actually in a lunge position. Now I'm only in that position for a split second, but being strong and powerful and explosive out of a lunge position is so important to your ability to play this game at its highest level. So doing something out of a lunge position is involved in every single strength workout we do. Now, the next one I'm going to do a lateral step up. So I want to make sure that I'm working the muscles of my groin. So I'm going to step up here. I'm going to continue to face in this direction, and I'm going to drive my hips up. And I'm going to take a nice wide stance at the bottom, again, to work the groin as well as work my hips and thighs. So I'm driving up and back, up and back, driving that knee up. You can do whatever you need to do from a hand motion standpoint, whatever feels natural and feels comfortable. I chose to do this just purely out of body weight, but this again is one that you could hold a variety of different modalities. I could hold a med ball, I could hold a dumbbell or a kettlebell. So it doesn't matter what you choose, just make sure that you're doing it correctly. So we went from the lunge, which works just about everything you have in your lower body, to a step up, which is very similar, but when we do it from a lateral stance, now we're really involving the groin. And the last one I'll use the barbell, and we're going to get a one-legged stiff leg deadlift. So I'm gonna balance on one leg. This leg is not going to be locked straight, but it's also not going to bend. And I'm gonna hinge at the hip and let the barbell pull me to the ground. That was not a great rep. Let the barbell pull me to the ground and then drive straight back up. As you can see from my first rep, this also incorporates a ton of balance. Not easy to balance on one leg when you're holding an implement with 2 hands. And you'll really feel that in your hamstrings and posterior side. So again, the reason I love these 3, we're working the quads, we're working the glutes, we're working the groin, we're working the hamstring. So we're hitting every area that we need. Make sure you understand, I only demonstrated each one on one side of my body. Obviously, you need to do both. If you're going to do X number of reps on your left, do the same number of reps on your right to make sure that we get that balance and we get that symmetry. From a sets and reps standpoint, it just depends on your level. For the most part, you could do something as little as 6 to 8 reps for each side, as high as 12 to 15 reps for each side. And you can do this in a variety of ways. You might want to do kind of a circuit where you do your right leg for all 3 exercises in a row, and then you go back and do your left leg for all 3 in a row. Or you can go traditionally, right, left, move to the next one, right, left, move to the next one. But whatever you choose, make sure your form is perfect and make sure that you're challenging every area that you can from one leg at a time. Hey guys, it's Coach Allen, and I want to share with you 3 of my favorite upper body exercises for basketball players. Now, for 2 of them, we're going to actually use some dumbbells. And the reason I'm using dumbbells is they're so versatile. They can be used isolaterally, which means I'm going to be working each arm independently. And I'm going to pick 2 exercises that are combination exercises so we get a little bit more bang for our buck. We're going to be working more than one muscle group at one time. Again, I love these for the versatility. The first one we're going to do, I'm going to use these hexagon dumbbells, and I'm going to get down in a push-up position. I'm going to be a little bit wider than hip width apart with my feet. So I'm going to do a full push-up, and then I'm going to pull one dumbbell towards my armpit. So we're going to get a row. So I'm working the front side of my body right into the back side. So I'm working my pushing muscles, my chest and shoulders, and then I'm working my back and my biceps. Notice that I'm keeping great posture throughout the entire exercise, I'm not letting my hips drop, I'm not letting my hips elevate. Now, of course, with an exercise like this, it's most important that you can do a regular push-up correctly first, because this is an advanced technique. And it's so important that we respect the process and we respect every single step going up the chain. So before you try something like this, make sure you can do a regular push-up. Can't also stress enough how important it is to make sure you've got great body alignment. You're aligned from your ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders and chest. Need to make sure that you're keeping that great posture, not letting your hips sink. But it's great for working your core and every muscle of your upper body. Next one we'll do, also using the dumbbells, we'll do from a ground-based position. So I'm gonna be in a standing position. We're going to do a bicep curl, straight press, all the way back down. So it's very distinct movement. So we're gonna go bicep curl to our shoulder press. Notice I've got some bend in my knees. So I'm in a good athletic stance, keeping posture. We're working our shoulders, working our biceps, working our grip and forearms, and even a little bit of our core to a degree. I love these exercises because when we combine two exercises at once, we're just getting more bang for our buck, which means we can be so much more time efficient. That you could knock out 3 or 4 of these exercises, and it's like doing 6 to 8 regular conventional exercises. Everyone always talks about sets and reps. For something like these, 4 to 6 to 8 on each arm for our push-up row for a couple of sets. Same thing with our curl to press, 4 to 6, sometimes all the way up to 7 to 8, just depends on your strength level and depends on how heavy the dumbbells are. The last exercise we're gonna do an advanced version of a pull-up. So I'm gonna get in a pull position, but I'm gonna raise my feet up and we're gonna do what's called an L pull-up. An L pull-up is going to involve a tremendous amount of core and hip flexors. So again, since we're looking for exercises that give us more bang for our buck, I'm going to be working my back, my grip, my forearms, but I'm also going to, because of my position of my body, going to be working my hip flexors and going to be working my abs. So we'll go from here, we're going to raise up, and we're going to a full pull-up. So legs stay up, I'm trying to keep them parallel to the ground. Tremendous stress on the core, as well as obviously the back and the forearms. And those 3 different combo exercises are 3 of my favorite for basketball because I just worked every bit of muscle that I have from the waist up, which makes it an outstanding upper body routine.
My playing level just skyrocketed.
Anyone that's serious about playing basketball needs to get EGT.
I would describe it as the best training program in the world.
This elite guard training program, it creates a monster in you.
You got to experience it. It's just on another level.
The best decision of my life was to buy the first EGT program.